In this Spotfire analysis example, a map chart visualization has been configured, which allows us to examine data which my company generates geographically. One of the most obvious tools for navigating in this map chart are the navigation controls, which are presented on the visualization. Clicking the plus symbol will allow us to zoom in, and of course, the minus symbol will zoom us back out. These arrows will allow us to pan the visualization incrementally in any of the 4 cardinal directions. And the dot in the center serves to reset the navigation. The zoom level defined for this reset is based on the extent of marker and feature layers which have been added to the map chart. If we want to zoom quickly, the slider serves that purpose. However, note that the incremental levels of zoom, which are experienced using the plus and minus symbols, are preset zoom levels, and there is no way to adjust to a zoom level which exists between the 18 defined levels of zoom for a geographic map chart. While the panning arrows are incremental and directionally restrictive, you may also select panning mode from the interactive controls and click and drag in order to make smooth panning adjustments to the map chart in any direction. Note, though, that these panning movements are not possible when marking mode is selected. Clicking and dragging results in a rectangle which marks the data within. Let's click where there is no data in order to clear the marking and reset the navigation. Another option for zooming is to hold the Shift, Control, and Alt keys and drag a rectangle. Notice that this rectangle is gray rather than the blue rectangle seen when marking data, and the cursor has become a magnifying glass. These 2 visual cues indicate that you are designating an area for zooming, not marking. Note that if we want to pan, we could switch to panning mode, then click and drag. While in panning mode, we could also double-click to zoom in 1 level. But then when we want to mark data, we must return to marking mode. This constant switching between interactive modes can be somewhat cumbersome. However, there is an option for smooth panning which does not require you switch to panning mode. While still in marking mode, hold the Control key, right mouse click, and drag to pan the map. Now we can mark data and pan without having to switch between interactive modes. One final option for zooming and panning is to hover the cursor over an area of interest and use the mouse wheel to zoom into that area of the map chart. Again, we wish to reset the navigation. We could click the circle in the center of the panning arrows, or we could right mouse click and select Reset Navigation. In either case, the reset zoom level is calibrated to the extent of data presented in the map chart. If we expand the Layers menu, you will see that several additional layers have been configured for this map chart, but are currently hidden. Let's show the layer with data collected from Australia, then click the Reset Navigation circle. With this layer showing in the map chart, the extent of the data is broadened, and the reset zoom level is adjusted correspondingly. Let's try hiding the South America data layer and click the Reset Navigation circle. Again, the change in extent of the data changes the reset zoom level. This is not to say that we cannot zoom out, because the ability to click the minus symbol in the navigation control still remains, giving you the ability to gain a broader perspective of the area surrounding your data. In addition to changing the extent of data through the use of showing or hiding layers, you can also change the visible data through filtering. If we expand the Australia data table filters and use this radio button filter to isolate the data in Territory C, the Reset Navigation circle will zoom into the newly defined extent of our data. Let's isolate Territory F and use the Reset Navigation circle again in order to zoom to the selected data. And then return to viewing all territories and reset the navigation. This 2-step process of adjusting filters, then resetting the zoom, can also be somewhat cumbersome. If you want to make this interaction more dynamic, you could configure the map chart in the Properties dialog Appearance section to enable auto zoom. After checking this box and closing the Properties dialog, filtering to Territory F will now automatically zoom the map chart to the extent of the data. The price for this auto zoom convenience is that all other navigation controls have been disabled. A visual cue for this is provided by the fact that the navigation controls have turned gray. The auto zoom will respond to any filter adjustments, not just those which are geographically oriented. Therefore, we could filter to data with a small number of units sold, or remove those assigned to target class 1. When we reset all filters, the map chart will zoom out to the extent defined by all of the data in our Australia data table. If we use the Layers menu to show the first SA sales data layer again, with the auto zoom enabled, the map chart is automatically zoomed out to the extent of the available data. We do, however, have the ability to control whether a given layer contributes to the auto zoom defined data extent zoom level. If we access the settings for the Australia data marker layer in the Appearance section, we can indicate that this layer should not be included in the auto zoom. When we close this dialog, you can see the impact on the map chart. This is an important consideration as you configure map charts with multiple marker and feature layers. For example, we could collapse the Australia data table filters and show the South America data table filters. When we isolate Argentina, the auto zoom behaves as we want. However, if we reset the filters and use the Layers menu to show the South America cities layer, which was added from the geocoding data tables in the Spotfire library as a reference for the position of cities in South America, filtering to show the data in Argentina does not zoom into this area because the South America cities data layer is contributing to the extent of the data. We could indicate that this reference layer should not contribute to the auto zoom by selecting the South America cities marker layer settings and again unchecking the box which instructs this layer to be included in the auto zoom. When we close this dialog, you can see that we have zoomed to the Argentina area. Note that feature layers as well as marker layers can impact the auto zoom. If we use the Layers menu to show the South America countries layer, a feature layer which was added from the geocoding data tables in the Spotfire library as a reference for the boundaries of countries in South America, this layer contributes to the extent of our data defined by AutoZoom. Note that you may also create feature layers which reflect data in your data tables. We have configured another feature layer which is defined by the data in the South America data table. So if we hide the South America countries layer and show the second South America sales data layer, you can see that we continue to be zoomed to Argentina. And filtering to Brazil auto-zooms us to that area, because both the feature layer and the marker layer are filtered. Note, though, that as we continue to filter to show only data with greater than or equal to 25,000 units sold, additional auto-zooming does not occur because of the extent of data presented in this feature layer. If we hide that feature layer, auto-zoom will take into account only the marker layer defined by our sales data. If you want to return the map chart to the original navigation control options, you can go to the Properties dialog box, Appearance section, and uncheck the Auto Zoom checkbox. When we close the dialog, the zoom level where we turned on the auto zoom is displayed. However, when we click on the Reset Navigation circle, it is just like applying the auto zoom. And recall that we have instructed the Australia sales data to not be included in the auto zoom. Therefore, it will not be included when Reset Navigation is applied. Note that the South America cities layer was also configured to not be included in AutoZoom, so it likewise does not factor in when you apply Reset Navigation. Now, when we reset all filters, we must reset the navigation to see the data, but the Australia data layer does not factor in. And when we select to isolate data in Chile, AutoZoom is not enabled. But when we click the Reset Navigation circle, it has the same impact that AutoZoom would have accomplished. And we now have the benefit of all the navigation options we discussed at the beginning of this demonstration, which were not available when AutoZoom was enabled. In closing, you may wish to carefully consider how your map chart is intended to be used, with respect to both navigation and filtering, to limit data displayed in the map chart. And consider which of the marker layers and feature layers should contribute to the extent of the data defined, either by the enablement of AutoZoom or the simple act of clicking upon the Reset Navigation circle.